guys.
Hi.
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 Just keep roll with it. Well, you can see we're a little bit on the goofy side today, so make sure you pay attention at the end because I think you'll think it's funny too. Anyways, though, we're going to start a new chapter and we're so excited, guys. We're moving to India. Now, a lot of you might not have a whole lot of background knowledge on this like you might have with Egypt, but hang on tight and we promise you, you're going to learn some really cool stuff this chapter.
Oh, hold on. I got one more thing. I just want just one more thing. You know how that is. But I want to say congratulations. I am super proud of you guys. The Egypt test was like off the chain amazing.
Heck yes.
So,
not that you guys are smart, it's that we're really good at our job.
You're really amazing. So
but also you guys are like the,
I'm just kidding.
You guys
whatever
are the best,
you did to study for Egypt, please continue those good habits into India because I think it was just it's all you, man. You did a lot of work and we're super proud of you. And I just wanted to tell you thank you and congratulations and we love you.
For real. Well, just like every other of our civilization, we're going to be starting with geography this time. Woo! Look, guys, water goes downhill. Water's going downhill today, apparently. All right, we're going to be starting with geography, and we're going to see how it shapes the rise of civilizations in India. We love you guys. I don't know what's wrong with us today, but we're really thankful you guys put up with us. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Hi, guys. Now we're on to the geography of India. India and the surrounding modern-day countries make up a subcontinent, a large landmass that is smaller than a continent. Some of the geographic features of India: the mountains, the Himalaya Mountains to the north, and eastern and western Ghats on the coastlines. So if you can see right here, here are the Himalayas. And the eastern and western Ghats, this would be western, and this would be eastern, are right there. The rivers are the Ganges, sorry about that, you know my pronunciation of the words isn't that good. Ganges River in the northeast and the Indus River in the northwest brings fertile soil to the north of India. Remember, fertile soil, anytime we have those rivers, it's depositing the silt. So right here, we have the Ganges, and here we have Indus. The plateaus, the Deccan Plateau covers 2/3 of India. A plateau is a flat area of high land. And monsoons. We have in the winter cold, dry air from the Himalaya Mountains, and the summer is warm, wet air and pouring rains. The ones in blue, the arrows in blue are your winter monsoons, and the arrows in red are your summer monsoons.
All right, now it's time for your hot question. And I know that a lot of you have asked me recently in my class, and I'm not sure about the other classes, but you've asked me, do we have to do the hot question? Absolutely, you have to do the hot question because the hot question is what lets us know that you know what you're talking about and you understand the material that you've just heard. If you look at it from our perspective, anybody could just fill in a blank, and y'all do a great job at that. But processing the information takes more than that, so we need to see some sentences and some information from you that shows us that you know what you're talking about. So here's your hot question for today. We can see over here that there's a lot of water in this field, and so here's your hot question. What might happen to India's farmers if the monsoon rains did not occur? So consider what would happen to the farmers if the monsoon rains don't occur. Over here you can see some Indian farmers where a monsoon has occurred and what they're working with and what they're doing with all the water. So consider what would happen if they didn't have the water. All right, see you soon.
Okay, y'all, so we started talking with Miss Tickle and Miss Hodges about these very first kind of geographic areas that we're looking at and some of the big geographic features that we see. We know from our previous studies that river valleys are going to be the place that we see the earliest settlement. And in fact, we see the earliest settlement in India right here in this river valley to the west, because we know people are coming in and migrating over time this way into India, okay? So they won't get over here to this other river valley till later, but they start settling here in the Indus Valley almost 10,000 years ago, okay? Now, about 5,000 years ago, or around 3000 BC, we start to see really the first civilizations coming up. And this is right around, remember, at the same time, we see the first civilizations coming up in Mesopotamia and in Egypt. So this is all happening parallel, okay? So we've got two major ones, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. And we know that these were both part of the same civilization, this Indus Valley civilization, because when we look at their ruins, they were laid out almost exactly the same. So they had to be able to communicate in order to be able to do that. And they really had some cool features in how they were laid out, some things that were way ahead of their time, even more advanced than the Mesopotamians and the Egyptians. So for their city layout, it was very, very well planned. It was laid out on a grid. We do this a lot in modern cities where you have streets going up and down and streets going east and west, and they crisscross each other. And it makes it really easy to organize things and to find directions. The streets that were laid out in the grid, kind of like you see right here, they were paved with bricks, and in fact, these bricks were so well made that some of them still exist. When you go to the Indus Valley today, and you go to the ruins of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, you can see these brick streets. Their houses were just amazingly designed. They even had indoor bathrooms, guys, indoor plumbing 5,000 years ago. There are parts of this country that didn't have indoor plumbing 100 years ago, okay? Your great-great-grandparents probably didn't have indoor plumbing in their house, but 5,000 years ago in India, they did. And they were inside, so no going out in the cold or the dark or going out to the outhouses. In addition to having these indoor plumbing, these houses, as you see over here, were incredibly well designed. They were very sophisticated. So they had these flat wooden roofs where, because remember, this is before air conditioning 5,000 years ago. If it was hot, because India is in a tropical location, people could go spend time out there. Almost every house had a well that you see right here, and the house was built around the well so that you could have water right inside your house. And they had multiple stories. And we talked about earlier in the video how family life, or actually, we haven't talked about that yet. Miss Lewis is going to talk about that soon. But family life was very important. You had many generations all under one roof. So you needed a house that was big and sturdy, enough to be able to handle that many people. We also see that each city had a fortress at the west end of the city. So what we're looking at this picture right here, and here, let me do that in another color so you can see it a little bit better, is the fortress at Harappa. Now here's the thing. The west end of each city would have been this side over here. So I'm back at this map right here. And that's where invaders would have been coming in from most likely. Because remember, we talked about the Indus Valley cities were the first. There weren't really many people out here this way. But to the west, this is where more nomads and invaders would have came from. So their cities had to be planned to account for that. So these fortresses, and if you're not familiar with that word, a fortress is a big fortified area. We have a fortress downtown St. Augustine. These fortresses would act as lookout points facing the direction that most invaders would have came from. And when we look at the materials that these cities were built from, similar to Mesopotamia, they were built from mud bricks, but they were baked in such a way that they were very, very long lasting. So you see a mixture of resources being used, everything from mud bricks to wood, and these really well-planned cities. In fact, by this graphic organizer, I want you to put a star right by this word that says well-planned. This is probably the most important thing for you to know about these early cities. More than 5,000 years ago in the Indus Valley, they were as well-planned as many modern cities today. You're going to see that information come up again, so be sure you have that down. All right, see you soon, guys.
So as the Indus Valley civilization started to wind down, the civilization was doing well, but the people decided to migrate and move somewhere else for whatever reason. Archaeologists have found several clues and indicators as to why they did this, and some of the clues they found were maybe there was an earthquake, or there was a flood, or there was a drought. It's kind of a mystery as to why they did decide to migrate around. But when they abandoned their cities and started moving out, other people started moving into the cities. They had great infrastructure, and infrastructure is roads, plumbing, and different buildings that had already been built, and so other people started to move into those cities. A new civilization, the Aryans, migrated to India. In the meantime, they moved in and started to take up residence where the other folks from the Indus Valley civilization, the other Indians, decided to leave. So that's all there really is for this slide. Just there's a big mystery as to why they decided to leave, but we do know they did, and another civilization moved in. All right, so talk to you later.
So the Aryans were originally from Asia, but eventually they migrated or moved to India. Now these nomadic people started living with others from the Indus Valley, which created a new culture entirely. So the Aryans actually lived in tribes led by a Raja, or a prince. The Rajas created small kingdoms which often ended up fighting each other over cattle or land. But after settling in villages, the Aryans eventually developed a written language that is now known as Sanskrit. This written language allowed the Aryans to keep records of sales, trade, and ownership of land. Don't you think that would be important? If you own something, don't you want to show that you own that? So we start to see record keeping of that. Eventually, they used Sanskrit to write things like hymns, stories, poems, and prayers. And these were later created into a collection of sacred texts known as the Vedas. Now, in the ancient Indian society, family was considered the center of life. It was normal for grandparents, parents, and children to live together. And in the ancient Indian civilization, men had more rights than women. Just kidding. So let's take a look at the social hierarchy pyramid, or in the ancient Indian civilization, it was known as the caste system. Each social class was known as a varnas, and you were born into a varna. At the top were the Brahmins, which consisted of priests. Now on your paper, I want you to circle the I in the word Brahmin, and think of it as an individual, okay? Then next we have the Kshatriyas, which consisted of warriors and rulers. And this made up right below the Brahmins. The next Varna, or social class, were the Vaisyas, which were merchants, craftsmen, and farmers. And below the Vaisyas, we had the Sudras. These were common workers such as farmers and servants. Most people in the ancient Indian society or civilization were part of this social class. And down at the way bottom here, we have the untouchables. Now, this consisted of people who were not part or considered part of the caste system. And they did work that no one wanted to do, like collecting trash. These people were considered so low in ancient civilization, the ancient Indian civilization, that you weren't even supposed to talk to them. We'll actually talk about why that is in our next video when we talk about religion in India. See you next time.
Hi guys.
Hi.
We are so excited to start our new chapter today. Now, hi guys.
Hi. I just feel like I'm cut off.
They are so mean to me. This is the third time. This is the third time, and they can't stop laughing at
to
me.
make a video. So guys, we just want to welcome you to India. We're starting a new chapter. We're really excited about this.
No.
So,
This is
yeah,
the
we are.
free-for-all. I am
No,
done
let's
with
just leave this here for them.
nonsense.